The wind howled, a merciless beast clawing at my thin rags. Each gust felt like 1,000 icy needles piercing my skin, a cruel reminder of the world that had cast me out. My name is Elara, and my world was one of scorn and shadows. Born with a leg that refused to obey, I was a stain on my family's noble name. A cripple, they'd whisper, their words colder than the winter snow, now swallowing me whole. My father, the Duke, a man whose heart was as hard as the castle stones, had finally decided my imperfection was a burden he would no longer bear. So here I was, abandoned in the heart of the cursed forest, a final brutal act of rejection. The snow was beginning to bury me, a soft white shroud that promised a peaceful end to my painful existence. My eyelids grew heavy, the biting cold giving way to a strange, inviting warmth. I was ready to let go, to finally find peace in the eternal silence. But just as my consciousness began to fade, a new sound cut through the blizzard's roar. The crunch of footsteps on snow, deliberate and impossibly close. Fear, a long-forgotten instinct, jolted through me. The legends were true then. This was the domain of the creatures of the night, the vampires who ruled these woods. A far worse fate than freezing, I thought. Through the swirling snow, a figure emerged. He was impossibly tall, a silhouette of power and darkness against the pale landscape. Panic seized me, but I was too weak to move, too weak to scream. He knelt beside me, and the blizzard itself seemed to hold its breath. I braced for the sharp pain of fangs, for the final, violent end. Instead, I felt something else entirely. Strong arms, surprisingly gentle, slid beneath me. He lifted me from my snowy grave as if I weighed nothing at all. I dared to look up, and my breath caught. His face was sculpted from marble, unnaturally perfect, with eyes the color of ancient blood that held not malice, but ... curiosity. And something else, something I couldn't name. He held me close to his chest, a furnace of warmth against the freezing world. You are not dying today, little one. A voice like deep, resonant music rumbled in his chest, vibrating through my very bones. His name was Kasian, the alpha of the vampire coven that had haunted the region for centuries. He carried me through the blinding storm to a hidden castle, a place of Gothic spires and impossible architecture that seemed to rise from the very mountainside. Inside, it wasn't the cold, sterile tomb I'd imagined. Fires roared in grand hearths, casting a warm, golden glow on rich tapestries and towering bookshelves. He laid me gently on a bed softer than any I had ever known, piled high with furs. A woman with kind eyes and an ageless face tended to me, murmuring soothing words as she dressed my frost-bitten skin and offered me a warm, sweet broth that sent life flooding back into my numb limbs. I was terrified, but also deeply confused. These were the monsters of bedtime stories, yet they treated me with more kindness than my own family ever had. Kasian would often sit by my bedside, not speaking much at first, just watching me with those intense crimson eyes. He asked me my name, how I came to be in the forest, When I told him my story, shame and sorrow choking my words, I saw not pity in his gaze, but a flicker of something akin to rage. "They left you for the wolves," he said, his voice a low growl, "for being different. We are all different here, Elara, here. Your differences do not make you weak." It was the first time someone had spoken my name without a hint of contempt. Days turned into weeks. Under the care of the coven, my body healed. They brought me books to read, taught me the history of their kind, a story far different from the human tales of mindless monsters. They were a community, bound by loyalty and a shared existence in the shadows. They saw my lame leg not as a defect, but simply as a part of me. A young vampire named Lysander even crafted a beautiful, ornate brace for my leg, carved from dark wood and inlaid with silver. It supported my leg, allowing me to walk with more ease and less pain than ever before. For the first time in my life, I could walk through the castle halls without stumbling, without the burning shame that had always accompanied me. Kasian was a constant, powerful presence. He taught me to play chess, revealing a strategic mind that was both brilliant and patient. He showed me his library, a place of infinite wonder, and we would spend hours discussing history, philosophy, and poetry. He listened to my thoughts, valued my opinions, and saw a mind that my family had always ignored. I began to see past the fearsome alpha. I saw a leader who carried the weight of his people, a being who had known centuries of solitude, and a man who possessed a quiet, profound gentleness. I was no longer afraid of him. In fact, I found myself drawn to his quiet strength, his surprising warmth, his piercing gaze that seemed to see right into my soul. The bond between us was growing, a silent understanding that transcended words. One evening, as we sat by the fire, he took my hand. His touch was cool, but sent a jolt of electricity through me. "Elara," he began, his voice soft, "your family saw a flaw. I see a survivor. I see a spirit stronger than any I have ever known." My heart hammered against my ribs. "You are not a burden here," he continued, his crimson eyes holding mine. "You are treasured." In that moment, surrounded by creatures of the night, I had never felt more human, more alive, or more accepted. He leaned in, and the scent of night and ancient earth filled my senses. His lips met mine, a kiss that was not of cold death, but of electrifying life and a promise of a future I never dreamed possible. My old life was a distant, painful memory. Here, in this castle of shadows, I was not the crippled daughter. I was Elara, and I had been saved not from the snow, but from a world that was far colder. My new life was just beginning, held in the arms of the alpha vampire who saw the fire within me when everyone else saw only ashes. He hadn't just saved me from the snow. He had held me in his arms and taught me how to finally live. This wasn't an end, but a beautiful, terrifying, and wondrous new beginning. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If you enjoyed Elara's story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more tales from the shadows. We'd love to have you in our community, so ring that notification bell and let us know what you thought in the comments below.